Good day, people. Sorry for the slight delay. As usual, few technical issues. Good to have you on the show once again for the brand new year, 2021. Doing it for the first time. And today, as you know, that we are here to talk about what's going on in the cricket world. On standby, I've got two gentlemen, smiling away. I'll be bringing without further ado, and I want to bring in Avishka and Boa online. Just a minute. Uh, Avi will be on in a minute. Good day, Avi. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, loud and clear.
Very good. Good to have you on the show. How are you, Boa, all the way from New Zealand?
Very well, thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. And very happy New Year, a very good and safe 2021 to be expected. And I feel very honored and privileged to be on the show with you and Avishka.
Yeah, once again, it's a big hi to everyone. Already 11 people have joined us, there's watching the stream. And sorry again, we are about 5 minutes late as usual, few hiccups, but, we are live and kicking, and, we are on air. Gentlemen, I think, we had a brief chat, and that, we all know that what we are going to discuss about. And since I last spoke to you two, and certain things have happened last night, and just things are happening. And last night, the sports minister, Honorable Mr. Namal Rajapaksa, had a meeting to discuss the current status of cricket in Sri Lanka. National Sports Council Chairman Mahela Jayawardena also participated in the meeting. So after the meeting, there were certain decisions taken. One of the decisions taken to appoint a new cricket selection committee, play competitive domestic and provincial cricket tournaments. Priority will be given for discipline and fitness of players. Players' contracts will be based on performance. Director and mentor will be appointed to assist the coach. Avishka, I think I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah.
To appoint a new cricket committee. Okay, first of all, I must say, yes, something's happening out there, and just it's good to see people are getting activated and trying to find solutions for what is going on. But point number one, appointing a new committee. I thought that the committee was appointed only last week, just prior to the England Test series. What's happening there?
I don't know whether they're talking about appointing a whole new selection committee or just Ashanta was asked to step down, or he stepped down by himself, and just appointing someone else as the chairman from the committee itself. I don't think they're going to appoint a whole new committee.
That's exactly what I thought. That Ashanta has already stepped down, so so they probably will appoint a new chairman of selectors. And the same committee perhaps will continue. Boa, what do you think of that?
Well, it's nice to see the Sports Council actually taking some decisions. That's a good start. That's a very good start. Look, guys, I'm gonna put my sort of sports administrator framework analysis hat on now. Look, this was inevitable. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction. It's what I would call immediate band-aid sort of solution. You have to be seen to be doing something. I don't know whether it's the right thing to do. What sort of information was used to make this call? But, at face value, some dramatic action needs to happen. And there are obviously local political pressures mounting as well, because it's not a good look. Cricket is the number one sport in the island nation. And at the moment, we look like we won't even qualify for a street cricket competition. That's how bad it is. So something has to happen. They've taken some dramatic action. So we'll have to wait and see, what's the plan going forward? What is the immediate plan, and what are some of the solutions? Because we all know there's a problem. Is this the right solution?
Yeah,
that's my question.
Very well said. There are so many interesting comments coming right now. This is hilarious. AJ Shanti Ratnam saying, "What's the point fixing new nuts to a broken car?" Good point, mate. And big up to everybody. Aswin, Felix, good to have you. Dilanta, Richie, yes, hi guys. just got on the gravy train. Yeah, that's what is happening. So many messages coming in. Well, as we said, I think that's what's going to happen. There will be a new chairman. That hopefully the same the same committee will carry on with a with a with a new chairman of selectors. Hopefully. Point number 2: play competitive domestic and provincial cricket tournaments. Aren't we playing competitive cricket at the moment? What is this?
I don't think anyone needs to give direction on that. We've been saying it for years, and and like I said, just to make a point, we are discussing this. All these things are happening simply because we lost 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
But we knew we were coming to this for a long time, and it's like when you get a small corrosion in a car. If you ignore it, it's gonna go on until the whole car gets corroded.
Sure.
Right? And this small corrosion started not yesterday or day before, a long time ago. And everyone very conveniently ignored, and they didn't see the gravity of it, and then it just went on and on. And now, instead of fixing the corrosion and stopping it from there, we have to buy a whole new car.
True. That, as you rightly said, it all started after 4 straight up losses, 2 in South Africa, 2 in Sri Lanka. Let's get to the point. The people would like to know. People out there, there are lots of questions. And what really happened just before when we went to South Africa? We had a LPL 2020 tournament. Avishka, again to you and Boa. And did we have proper preparations before we going to South Africa? What is our status of mind? And were the boys mentally and physically ready to play in South Africa to take on the Proteas? We all knew it's going to be a very, very uphill task. The 2 venues that we are going to play. A couple of positives. I think it was a very bold decision on the very first test to win the toss and bat. Avishka, I'm sure you agree that it's a bold move, and we did well. Let's give boys some credit. And that on the first innings we were placed strongly until Dhananjay broke down, and that's where the slide started. But my point is, okay, for players to start going down like dominoes, were we prepared to take on Proteas? Over to you guys.
CS, I'm just going to say something before Avishka answers this.
Yeah.
The problem here is the doctors handing out medicine for the symptoms, not for the tumor. In the hope that if the symptoms go away, everyone will feel that the problem has gone away. So because of this whole band-aid plaster-like scenario, cricket just happens to be the highest profile sport in the island nation, which has obviously come to the forefront. But if you look at most sports in Sri Lanka, this would be the same thing over and over and over again. It's like recycling a rubbish on the curbside, hoping that once the garbage is recycled and the garbage can is empty, no one is going to complain. But because we've had a string of defeats and it looks really stupid. And the fitness issues, people turning up out of shape, some of these things happening on social media. The symptoms got so bad, everyone got on the bandwagon and started pointing fingers. So Avishka was bang on the money by saying this is not something which happened yesterday or day before. This has been, the rut started. Would it be fair to say, guys, 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago? And now it's come to an head, and now everyone wants to pull the knife out and try and chop the tumor out. But it's not a simple fix as that. And my fear is that we're going about this in this whole sort of plaster band-aid scenario, and we're gonna probably be in a worse off situation than we were 1 week ago.
Avi, as a coach, how would you have prepared before going to South Africa? Let me put it bluntly to you.
Yeah, it's quite obvious. It doesn't need a maestro to understand that we were underprepared. Surely, we were playing a test match after 11 or 12 months. Our preparation was playing 26 days of white ball T20 cricket.
Yep.
And instead of taking at least taking the bowlers out of that, without taking the bowlers out of that tournament, we went on playing. And then what was the preparation? Like a white ball 2020 T10 T20 tournament. And you're playing back-to-back test matches. I think we played all these 4 test matches within a space of 6 weeks. Right? I would have at least taken my main bowlers out of that competition and get them ready in those 25 days, and being prepared them for for test matches. I mean,
Well
yes,
said. Yeah.
had to go on. LPL had to go on, but the focus was, I mean, it has to, just because playing a LPL, it's not going to help Test cricket, right? LPL could have gone on, but the focus had to be on international cricket. How are we going to play international cricket? How are we going to prepare for international cricket? But I think it seemed like for everyone, LPL was bigger than the test matches that were coming up. That's how I felt.
There you go, people. Everybody asked, what really went wrong in South Africa. Short and simple, we were simply not prepared. Our mindset was in the white ball cricket playing 2020. And as Avishka rightly said, that the bowlers were not ready, and we saw them going down. That's where everything started. So, so our focus was not in Test cricket. Very simply, I think that we lost the plot. Simply, going to South Africa, we were underprepared, and we saw the results. Okay.
But just to add a bit on LPL, since we are on the subject.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than bringing in like Irfan Pathans and all these people who have retired and just staying home with their kids, we could have put a rule saying that every team had to play 2 under-19 boys.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have helped in some sort of bringing the young blood in, identifying talent and all that.
Sure.
So I mean, I didn't see any point. I mean, Irfan Pathan was bowling at 112. So
Sure.
I just threw out one name. I mean, no disrespect for him. I mean, he's a top international player. But what I'm saying is, rather than bringing these grandfathers to play LPL, we could have given two under-19 boys. We could have put this thing saying every team had to play 2 under-20 boys. Say.
I think then again, to be fair by the LPL organizers, I think probably the idea was to have this international flavor to it and bring Indian players and
So who's benefit? So who's going to benefit? Did we play that LPL to benefit the organizers, or did we organize this LPL to benefit Sri Lanka cricket?
You yourself said it, that the only we all know who benefited out of it and who suffered at the end of it. People. That's it. That's bottom line. LPL became bigger than the normal cricket, Sri Lanka cricket, and we faced the consequences. We suffered it. That's simple as that. And Boa, you agree with our focus wasn't there?
Yeah, look, it's what you call misalignment. There was no alignment between what was happening off the field and on the field. Now, these showstoppers, they're like circus acts. Now, you get this in every sport, not just cricket. Shorter versions. It brings in cash. It brings in entertainment, and it's what I would call a payday league. It's a quasi professional league where people who've retired from competitive top level cricket, because they've got to play some cricket. They're a big name. They're a draw card. To sorts, it's kind of like hoodwinking and fooling your audience. You see this in all sports, particularly in boxing. You bring guys out of retirement, put them against not the very top level guys who are trying to break through, and all of a sudden you beat someone who was a legend, and then all of a sudden you're bigger than Muhammad Ali. So I understand what they were trying to do. It was like the Royal Easter Show.
It's all about money. It's all about money. If you put it in a nutshell, we lost the plot. That's what happened, and everyone saw the outcome of it. Then coming from South Africa very quickly, and we knew that we had 2 back-to-back games in our fortress in goal. And coach, once again, did we have a game plan? I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Did we have a game plan coming into goal and to take on the English?
Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, it sums up in the second test match. You're playing 2 off spinners against I think 9 or 10 right-handers, and it's just a simple just a 10% of planning I was talking about. I didn't even have to go to rest of it. Do I have to go to the rest of it? No. You're playing two off spinners, and one of them is also, I mean, no disrespect to Dilruwan, he's almost 40 years old.
True.
Right? Where is our backup? I mean, whenever we want an off spinner, we keep running to a 39, 40-year-old off spinner. Right? And Ramesh Mendis, I mean, you can't blame that boy. He's very young. He's just played his first game, and he's not like a bowling all-rounder per se. I think he's a batsman who would bowl. And then again, against 10 right-handers, you're playing two off spinners, and you have a wrist spinner in your squad, Sandakan. Why is he in the squad then?
Good question. Good question. To Boa, before I come to you, this is my view, mate. I discussed this with, I fired a question to director high performance. Asked him, did you guys communicate with the team management at any level? The feedback I had, it appeared to me there was no communication between the team management, chairman selectors, and the high performance center. And why I'm saying this? The first test that we played on, the track that was given, the people didn't understand, and they gave a turner. By lunch, the series was decided, and we were 5 wickets down. We batted down that, and what was the planning? To me, what we would have done, we would have given an absolute belter for the first test. Coach, if you don't agree, you tell me you're wrong. Would have given a flat track, break the backs of the English in the first test, then try and win the second test, win the series, right? That would have been the simple plan. And to me, it appeared that there was no communication between the team management and the high performance center. If you may recall, Avi, that during my time or the previous coaches, we always had a constant dialogue with high performance center boys, because you boys are the ones who know what's happening at ground level. Because hands-on, you have development squads, emerging squads, the players who are coming up. So it needs your feedback.
Also, when we had foreign coaches before as well, like in Bruce Yardley, John Dyson, Watmore, all these guys. But they always communicated with the local coaching staff, and there was a good setup. There was good local coaches. They will give them the finished product to the national team.
Yep.
Right. They give the foreign coach a finished product. So the foreign coach only have to focus on the tactical part and managing the players. That's all. Because there was communication. And yeah.
That did not happen. Boa, tell us that you are a guy who does, you're a coach and you are involved in a high performance setup. If there is, we are not going to make use of what we have, what's the point having a high performance center? What is their contribution?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for example, based on what both of you said, it was very simple, very clear message. There was a very clear-cut plan. But to do that, you have to have what you call good systems and processes. They have to be simple. Everyone has to understand it, and everyone has to buy into it. So I'm going to go back to the point where Avishka was saying that we had two off spinners bowling to almost 90% of the side having right-handed.
Right-handed, yeah.
So again, I mean, I'm pretty sure the national test team would have an analyst. We have two overseas coaches, professional coaches who are paid full time, and of course we have a big support staff. So my question is, what's up? What's going on? Where's the analysis? Can you show us the analysis and say, this is what we're doing? Because it's got to the point now where these guys will have to be micromanaged quite heavily, because that's what happens in high performance. For those of you who don't have too much of insight into high performance, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of accountability, there's a lot of scrutinizing. High performance is not for everybody. A lot of hard questions get asked, a lot of very honest conversations need to happen, because soon as you're not performing to the level you're expected, because keep in mind, this is your job, you do it day in, day out, so there's no excuse, and the problems will be diagnosed very quickly, and there's no time to hold hands or babysit people, because at test level it's a stern examination. Your technique, your mental fitness, your patience, your hard skills, soft skills, which I'll get into in a moment, will be tested. So if you don't have these skills, you have to have a system in place where you send people as replacements who have these skills. So going back to what you said, CS, the type of wickets, the type of players, the zero communication between high performance, and I think with all due respect, the current high performance setup have absolutely no clue what high performance is. So if they want any help, give me a call. I'll teach you. I don't come cheap. I have to say that. But again, it's about simplifying things so that everyone understands. Because I believe the higher the level, the more basic things have to get so that you can really scrutinize what you're doing. And if you have a problem, you fix it. You have to fix it straight away. Unfortunately, this has now become like the beggar's wound, and people are trying to scratch away. But if you don't know what to do, you keep doing the same thing even harder, expecting a different result. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
What it does, it just makes the problem even more worse off than it ever was. And that's exactly what's happening.
True, right? Before we move on to the next one, just very quickly, big hi to everyone out there who's watching, and I appreciate it very much having you guys. Hatem, as usual, good to have you on the show. It was your idea to bring these two guys in, have a powwow. And there's a question from Hatem to Avi. Question for Avishka: why is Pratham Nissanka not being given a go? I think he's going to West Indies, and if you can shed some light on it quickly, Avi.
Yeah, I mean, he actually gave me a phone call. I don't know whether I'm supposed to say it, and had a brief chat with me. And I just sum it up by I just told him all you can do is keep on scoring runs, keep on performing, and that's all that he can do. And I just gave him a bit of a motivation. He was down and out, right? And I was just asking him, saying that there was a rumor about a back injury and all that, and he nicely explained that to me. There's no such thing. Yes, there was a little bit of a stiffness in the back. He has got 100, and then he has been fielding on short leg for almost 90 overs, and then next day he woke up with a stiff back, and which probably basically they made that as an excuse for not to pick him.
Yeah. So basically the answer is that he's fit and ready to go, and hopefully that he
has been fit from, I think,
for a while. Okay.
December.
Which is very fast. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he should have got like 5 back-to-back ducks. He would have got picked.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, there's no guarantees that even if he gets the chance that he's going to score. But if you look at his stats, the way he has progressed in the last few years, I mean, I can't understand how anyone can ignore that.
True. I hopefully the boy will get his due recognition. I think there is I must say this, there is a bit of resentment what is happening in the national setup. The head coach having got no confidence in the players who are performing at domestic level, and that's the role of high performance to as you rightly said, Davi, that you guys are the ones who know the players who are coming up and who's ready to perform at the highest level, and who should be given the opportunity to gain experience. Look at what India is doing.
And when someone has asked the head coach what is he doing commentaries, he should be in Colombo getting boys prepared for South African tour. He has said he's there so that he can identify talent. For God's sake, he has been here for 12 months almost, and he had to go to LPL and do commentaries to identify talent.
Wow, yeah, lots of questions. He's been here and he has absolutely no faith in the boys, who's coming up. And so many people are deprived of, getting the few opportunities we have. See, we discussed this, off the air, that we all know India, for an example, that apparently plays 5 to 6, first-class games, 18 games for a year. And that we saw that, how prepared when the entire Indian first team is gone, and they still had ample replacements to go to Gabba to play with, virtually with the India A team and to beat Australia. And imagine in 3 or 4 years down the line, we'll be taking on those players with with a setup that we don't have anybody that's see where our cricket is heading. So basically another 3 to 4 years time the same result will happen. This is where we're going wrong. I don't know what you guys think about it.
Guys, I've got a quick question for the benefit of the viewers as well. When it comes to selections, as far as Sri Lanka cricket goes, how do the selectors pick? Do they have a very clearly defined selection criteria? Do they have records, or how does it work, guys?
Avi?
Well, the latest I heard a couple of days ago is that I think there are about 7 selectors in the National Selection Committee.
Yep.
And 3 of them are looking after the national team, couple of them are looking after junior team, and couple are looking after women's team, and I don't know, it's a whole mess there. I mean, you need to have that selection policy. Well, it's very, very complicated.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to get at is, now you spoke about this young player Nisanka.
Yeah.
If you have a clearly defined selection policy, let's say, for example, if it's for number 3 batsman, what is the average they're looking at? What sort of what type of wickets have they played? Again, do they have any internal measurements? I mean, how does it work? Is there a fitness a rating key? I mean, surely we live in the year 2021. There has to be.
Before we go any further, I'll just throw this question out. You take the names of the selection committee. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not sure whether any of them have even seen Pathum Nissanka batting in the middle.
That's sad. Over to ask your question. Yes, they have the stats when they go for selection committee meetings, and before they go for the final selections, usually they should ideally have a chat with the high performance center director and the A-team coach. Get their input, and then to the team captain, team coach, and they have all this information before they select the final 11. And every time that, as we spoke earlier, say for an example, if you are playing your test matches in Galle, especially this COVID scenario in a bubble, and if you are confined to one center, you simply have a game plan. So you select the horses for courses. That's the way it should be. And you can't suddenly go to a test match and see that you don't have proper resources. Now look at England, that as they on arrival, Moeen Ali was tested positive. Avi, correct me if I'm wrong. If Moeen Ali played, perhaps this game would have been a different ball game. And England playing without Archer, Stokes, half their top players did not play. Yeah. And who played Bates and Leach and literally ran through our entire Sri Lankan batting lineup. And we keep going back with the players who are tested, and I don't know whether it's trusted or whatever in the system. Keep going back, so getting one big score. And my point is that if you are having these players who are nearing 32, 33, 34 years, and they should perform consistently. That's having one odd inning in 10 innings. It's not going to help the cause, because once these players go out in another 1 or 2 years, you tell me who's going to represent Sri Lanka.
Yeah, because cricket is one of the most as far as stats and numbers go, it heavily relies on that. So, if you have average which is less than 17 or 18, and if you continually get picked to open at test level, that shows that there's a problem in your selection process, and you're ignoring your criteria, because you can't go out and tell the public. And then, this cricket-loving public in the island nation, they're not stupid. They're quite smart. They're very passionate about it. You can't fool the public saying, we have a selection policy where guys who play first class and above, they have to have an average of 40 plus over, say, 16, 17 innings, whatever it is, and then go and pick guys who have an average less than 17 or 18. And looks like that's what's happening. And that's why I asked you the question, do they actually have a clear-cut, very simple selection process and a policy in place so that, if they do, my view is that, looking from a high-performance sports point of view, this problem is actually going to go away very, very quickly.
They do have a very clear-cut policy, but sadly, it's not happening. That's what it is. So that's no point changing the selection committees if we don't go back, as you rightly said, to the systems that are already in place. If that's not going to happen, nothing's going to happen. Very quickly, there are so many questions coming in. Manikam, good to have you on the show, son. And it's a long message. We all talk about changing the structure and doing those little things, but what I saw in the last 5 years is our senior players never stepped up when it matters. That's exactly what we spoke about. Yes, we need to change systems, and there is no doubt about it. We have produced world-class players from the same system. Where Avi correctly said, this is on your last program on Sirius TV. Who takes the accountability? Yeah, no accountability. I still remember in one of the A tours when Tisara Pereira didn't perform and Avi was the coach. Avi came on the press and blasted him. Can you explain more and the importance of senior players stepping up when it matters the most? Avi, quickly, if you can, say that how important the senior players performing.
Yeah, I mean it's a team game. At the end of the day, it has always been the case. The younger players play around the senior players.
Yep.
And they take the role. They hit the. I mean, the two more senior batsmen hit the batting unit. Two more senior bowlers hit the bowling unit, and the youngsters play around them. So that has always been the case. And to me, very frankly, if I have to say, I don't think anyone cares anymore other than just getting their runs and just keeping their place in the side. I mean, it's sad to say, it's sad to see, but that's how I feel. I mean, it's you go, you participate, you make your runs, you take your wickets, and you're good for the next series.
That's
or for the next game.
Yeah. So no one's taking no accountability.
That's how it looks like to me.
Sad, very sad to hear that. And say again, we don't have a coach who can't even change a batting order for second innings after failing in the first innings. But that's why we have batting coaches out there. That we have a high-profile coaching staff in the dressing room to make decisions. And when the game goes on, I know, because having worked with Avishka, how proactive he is inside the dressing room. You got to make changes. You got to be on the ball. You can't allow the game to drift. That's where the highly paid individuals, the professionals, are there to make those decisions. If they can't, it's no point having them there. Simple as that. Avi, that you are very proactive as a coach always.
And another thing, before I forget, I mean, we don't produce leaders anymore, and doesn't look like there's a plan. I mean, when we started playing, I started playing under Arjuna, and then we knew next captain was going to be Sanath. Right? They were grooming Sanath to be the next captain. While they were grooming Sanath, in certain tours, they made Mahela as the vice captain. Because Sanath was going to take over. Mahela was going to be the deputy. After that, it was either Mavan or Mahela to take over. Then we knew they were grooming Kumar to take over. Right? We knew that set of captains were coming through when one was stepping down or finishing their careers.
Yeah.
And I'd be sad. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that. We don't know who's our next captain going to be.
You're right. Yeah. I think Geshan is ready to join the stream. Geshan, if you can knock down your the volume, because we get a feedback. Just please. Yeah, that's better. Gentlemen, I think there's a very interesting gentleman who is willing to join the feed. Hopefully, I can get him on screen. He captained Ananda in 2011, and he also represented Sri Lanka under 19. Geshan, I don't know whether he's still there. His name is Geshan Vimaladharma, who's very keen to get online and have a chat with the boys. Geshan had a view. Hopefully, Geshan can get on the stream, but he's trying to connect. He brought in a very interesting point, Avi and Boa, that he had a view that to say that okay, hang on, Geshan is still trying to get online. Take cricketers out of their comfort zone, out of cricketing arena. Are they ready to take up any other mantle? Like in the corporate world, that are they like what he was saying? If you look back in the past, that the players like Avishka, example, you, even Sangha, Mahela, and all of them. And they, apart from cricket, they were fully equipped. They could manage themselves on and off the park, and they could have walked into any corporate scenario, would have blossomed. And that's the ability they had. They were brilliant cricketers, but they were all-round humans. Is that happening today, Avishka? That in cricket, if you take the current set of players out of their comfort zone, give them a new role, can they perform? Is that affecting their on-field performances? That's what Geshan wants to know.
Yeah, I guess the word should be probably street smart, or I mean, I'm sure they're not street smart. Even if they do something, you should be street smart to get away with it.
Yeah.
It's not like I mean, to be brutally honest, it's not like we were saints, right? But we knew what to do and how to get out of it also. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you need that smartness to play cricket. That's another added 1% that you take into the game, right? Even to mentally in the middle, like you heard Joru talking to Chandi and all that. Those are little 1%ers that you play in the middle. Like coming back to what Charit said, not only us, I think Chari, even the times that you all played, you all were given jobs straight after school.
Yeah.
I mean, not only you, the Anurathenna Cones and all these guys, they were recruited into top corporates, of course, to play cricket. But we did. I mean, I worked for HNB and then for 12 years. I mean, we had our fitness in the morning, and we take a change and we go to the.
Sure. Yeah, because we were none of us full-time cricketers. We were all part-time cricketers. I'm sure Boa, if you look at rugby, some of those are outstanding rugby boys who played for our schools, and they were immediately, soon as they left school, they were taken into big corporate cultures, and they were ready to perform dual roles. They were outstanding athletes as well as good corporate executives, and it's not happening anymore. Your thoughts about it? I think. Hang on a second. I think Geshan is there. Hopefully, we can get him online. Let's see whether we could put him. Yeah, here you go. Good to have you, Geshan. Good to have you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Hi, Geshan. How are you?
Hi. Thank you for inviting me to the show, Charitaya.
Yes. Oh, good to have you, son. Good to have you. That former captain. Played for Ananda. Our A-team coach Avishka Gunawardhan as well as Boatu, outstanding. The Statsman, all the way from New Zealand. We discussed about what you said, Geshan. Ask this gentleman what your thoughts about how what you mentioned to me. Could you tell this gentleman?
Yes, of course. This is not anything regarding cricket and the skills and the talent of the players. This actually which came to my after playing few years with the club levels and associating players in the club level also. What I feel is, if you take a look at the players, the greats like Arjuna Ranatungas, Aravinda De Silvas, before that Siddharth Vettamunis, and also Brendan Kurupus, and all these great players, and the players who played along with them in that era, and afterwards Mahela Jayawardena, Sangakkara's. If you take cricket out of them, all of a sudden, if you take cricket out of them, and if you give them a responsibility of managing a company or you give a responsibility in corporate sector, they would be more than capable of handling it and running a sector and leading a team out of cricket. So, with due respect to all the cricketers in the current era and the current domestic level, and also who's representing Sri Lanka, I highly doubt it if you all of a sudden if you throw them to the deep end and if you take cricket out of them and ask them to do something like that, manage something and also work in a corporate sector, do they have the maturity? Do they have the skill? Do they have the general knowledge to do it? So I think this affects, and also the personality. So I think this is a big thing. I think we in international cricket, because it is, for my belief, it is very different to domestic cricket. It is not just your skill level, your talent, and your practice. I believe to sustain in international cricket, you need to have that personality, the skills of communicating skills, to handle situations. I think that's where great like Mahela Jayawardene, Sangakkara, Arjun Ranatungas, they succeeded because they were talented players even during their era. I mean, they were much more talented players, but to sustain in the international level, I think you need to have that extra sip. So I think I highly doubt that there are many players who, with due respect, who are capable of this. I think if you are grooming a player from the beginning from school level, you have to identify the proper player exactly, but still you have to think about that aspect of the game as well. For a quick example, so I think nowadays the social media is pretty much active, pretty much in the scene. So we saw that set of players playing, doing other set of things and playing cards. So this is something that we do at club level. So, but you always have to see this is international level. Yes, we are in a bubble. You are in a bubble and you are stressed, and it's a pretty pressured scenario. But you have to give value to where you are. You are playing international level. Out of all these Sri Lankans, you are being selected. You are the cream to play international level. You have to take that as a pride. You don't have to. You don't have to take it as Sri Lanka cricket needs me. If I'm not there, Sri Lanka cricket will not be there. I think that is the mindset of many of the current players. I think the management is also responsible for this, but they should have this personality, and also they should have this common sense, because at the current state we are not doing really well. So you have to avoid all the risks to go popular in social media for all the wrong reasons. So that is something that I think that we lack in the eras like before and now. We lack a lot of cricketers who's with common sense, who can who can manage situations in real world.
Great. Good point. I think, just before you got online, we discussed about it. Let me correct something, Geshan, here. Even at club level, yes, the players do play cards, but not during the game, mate. If there's a rain interruption, correct me if I'm wrong, that it won't happen at my club. I'm sure Avishka or, Boa will not agree, not during the match. Everybody, whether you are in a bubble or whether you are, with the squad, you're on the bench, you are part of that, the group, and everybody, his focus should be what's happening in the middle. You support your mates mentally, physically, in every possible way. You take a bottle and run into the middle, give them water, not to go to the side and play cards. So that, if people are listening out there, I don't want them to get the wrong impression. Correct me if I'm wrong. No player plays cards during the game. Avi, correct me if I'm wrong. And what do you gentlemen think of what Geshan said?
Geshan, very valid point. I would say first you try to have a conversation with some of our cricketers other than cricket and see before they and what their general knowledge is like.
Very
so
sad.
I mean, some of them even can't have a conversation about anything else other than cricket.
True.
Right? But only some of them. I mean, I'll take an example. I mean, I've spoken about Ambul, one of those guys who's pretty stable and pretty good upstairs. And when I first saw him, I didn't have much to do with him, because he would understand everything what I'm saying. He would grab it pretty quickly because he was good upstairs, and the background matters. The background, education, how they've been brought up, all these things matter. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think when you are grooming someone, when you're coaching someone, when you're managing someone, it's not only you're teaching them how to hold a bat or how to bowl or how to catch a ball. Everything you need to teach them everything. You need to groom them in every way.
Well said. Boa, what are your thoughts, mate?
Look, Geshan, look, that was quite a quite a mouthful, I have to say. You've obviously been holding this in your chest for a while, and
Yeah.
at least you got a chance to spin it out. So, look, I spend a lot of time both professionally and with amateur sports, athletes, players, rugby, mixed martial arts, boxing, so on and so forth. And this is an area I spend a lot of time with. So what you're talking about is what we call transferable skills. Do these players have transferable skills into other parts of their life? And some of the examples you gave, I have to say, are anomalies. You don't have 100 Sangakkars, there's only one. You don't have 100 milers, there's only one. So that's a very high benchmark. Now, the problem here with the current setup is these guys are paid professional cricketers. So the scientific rationale behind what you're saying is, unless we actually do a proper research and look at what sort of soft skills outside of cricket these guys have, we can't give a proper scientific analysis that they will or won't succeed. But based on some of the conversations you had, some of the behavioral interactions you had, and some of the things they do, like playing cards during games and whatnot, it just shows that there's a lack of focus. So based on that lack of focus, a judgment call has been made that they probably don't have the focus required to transfer those skills to other parts of life. That may be true. That might be so. Like I said, you have to do a proper research to get to the bottom of it. But the gut feel is, these are changing times. We're dealing with what you call millennials. We're talking with people who feel that there's large self-entitlement. They want instant gratification. It's like going and playing a scratchy lottery ticket and hoping to win $1 million. It doesn't work that way. You have to put the hard yards. And also, there's a skill you need to develop. It's called emotional intelligence. Now, not everyone has it. It's something, as Avishka said, it depends on your education background, who you hang out with, what type of education you had, your street smarts. It's a whole raft of things. So the best way to actually teach these guys, by guys I mean the modern or the current crop of people, is to actually have some kind of formalized training where they actually open their eyes and they're told, look, guys, there's stuff outside of cricket. There's more to life than cricket. Because if you are a professional cricketer, my take on it is, if you have a certain skill outside of cricket, if it's not going to make you a greater cricketer, I'm not going to worry about it. But that's strictly cricket only. Okay? But from a professional and personal development point of view, that is something you need to actually formally teach these youngsters. So until that is addressed, what you're talking about is not going to change. Now, to make matters worse and to compound it, when you're a professional cricketer, your fans, people who pay money to watch you, people who stay up at night in different time zones, live streaming it, spending their money on data, wanting to see good cricket, expect these players to win. So if you start losing, then questions get asked, and then all sorts of comparisons happen. So for starters, these guys, if they start winning, things will change a little bit. I hope that gives you some perspective, Geshan.
Sure. Now that Geshan is here, let us focus on what the minister said yesterday. Play competitive domestic and provincial cricket tournaments. You spoke about it, previously. And I want to get Geshan's view as well. We talk of there is quantity but no quality, right? Now that's the burning question, or the burning topic at the moment. Geshan, listen to me carefully. I feel that why there is, apart from political reasons, apart from whatever for them having what you call a vote or whatever when it comes to elections. We got to Tier A, Tier B, and everybody's playing Division 1 cricket, including you, Geshan. We play cricket only for three months of the year, right? And then these boys, and they're full-time cricketers, unlike Avi and I. We had jobs. After the season, we went back to our respective jobs. Now these boys, they play cricket overseas. They go to either UK or Australia. In order to qualify, they need to play at least minimum of 4 first-class games. And I think the 90% of these guys, at some point in their lives, they play league cricket in one of these countries, right? So therefore, I think that's the reason why we have increased the number of clubs to give these boys an opportunity. That's the bigger picture. Having said that, if you need quality, which Avishka spoke about, in other programs, I would suggest, in order to create competition, if you want to base your selections, select on the teams that qualify for the Super 8s only, and perhaps the only side that wins the Tier B and goes into Division 1. And rest of the guys, like if you play cricket or whatever, if you don't play in Super 8, that you will not be considered for selections. That will increase the competitiveness, and you're literally looking at top 8 teams playing at the highest level. Geshan, Avi, what are your thoughts?
I mean, we've been saying this for a long time. No? I mean, we've been talking about it for years and years, but we are still talking about it.
Yes, it's always been every season you get to hear, yeah, this will be limited to 10 teams next year. 4 teams will be demoted. But every year you keep on hearing that, but nothing that doesn't apply practically, doesn't happen.
Right.
So I think that is maybe because the management is also changing very frequently, and some.
I mean, I don't see. I mean, the direction needs to play competitive cricket and competitive what? Yes. How are you going to play that? How are you going to do that? That's the thing. I mean, you can direct. We can say we can address the problem, but there's even these directions. There's no solution given. Only solution is the selection committee chairman. That's it.
Avi, that's what I said. So future selections, in order to play for the national team, A team, development, emerging, under 19, under 23, whatever, right? The players will be selected only from the guys who play in the final round. So everybody will, give their heart and soul, try and get to the final round. Otherwise, you will not be considered for selections. That's because we are not going to change the system in place. Let's face it, right? As Geshan said, every season that we hear the number of teams that are playing will be reduced. Avishka, that it's not going to happen due to political reasons. Perhaps the number of teams, will be increased next season. I don't know. Once we come out of COVID, most likely, we may have 30 teams playing Division 1 cricket. And as I said, we are giving people an opportunity to go overseas or whatever, they will give a reason. But the fact is, I don't think you can base your selection, on 30 players. What do you guys think that if you have a clear national policy, that in future the selections will be based only on the teams that are playing in the Super 8s or in the final rounds? That's what I was asking, Geshan.
No, so CS, I'm going to jump in here. So with what you're talking about, again, this is the misalignment between high performance and the current structure. So with high performance, it's what I call the pyramid. Your high performance, the pool of high performance players, the moment you start shrinking it, the standard required or the average skill required or technique required increases. So that's what you really want. But based on what you're saying is taking into consideration all the political and all this sort of other stuff, you're trying to re-engineer your selection process so that you create a sort of a manufactured high-performance policy to fit what's happening. Now, if that works, then that has to happen. But if you can't keep doing the same damn thing over and over again, expecting a different result, because that's what's happening. And Avishka and Geshan, you just said that's what's been happening for so long. Well, if you keep doing that, you're going to get the same result.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's change it. Have a clear-cut policy. The selections will be based only on the teams that are playing in the final rounds or winning the championship. The playing the Super 8s. That's what I asked.
If the minister
now see, if you take last year, right? There were so many national tour. I'm just taking SSC as an example.
Yeah,
SSC couldn't even make it to the Super 8s. So what are you going to do? You're going to ignore SSC players?
They already have contracts. They already have, then in that case, I'm coming to that. My next question is, those players already have contracts, so it does not matter. So they are in the system,
So CS and Avi, if such a thing happens, that's where high performance need to get off their ass. And before it gets to that stage, you have to have a hard conversation and say, guys, what's happening? Why are you not? You guys are contracted players. This is a star-studded side. Why are you not putting the results we require. Before it gets to that stage, you need to have the diagnostics in place so that you don't allow a player or team to dig themselves into a hole. So that needs to be addressed before anything else.
Yep. That. What are your thoughts, Geshan? What if you restrict selections only to Super 8s? And that any new player coming in, we have to play in, and I can see somebody else asking, there are so many good players playing in the tier B and they are not even considered for selection. Well, that if you have 300 players playing, and how are you going to select? I mean, look at other countries. I don't know. Tell me, New Zealand probably have a squad of about 30, 40 players. Or Australia, I think, they only have about 60 or 70. Are we? That's the very small group of players to work upon.
We have Australia. They have only about 80 first-class players, and we have players who are we have 100 players who are contracted.
There you go.
And some players who are contracted. I mean, no disrespect for players. Some players who are contracted just can't find a place in a proper club side.
Yeah, look, that sounds like a payday league. That's like looking at, that's a gravy train. I mean, that's ridiculous to have 100 contracted players. That's just madness. I'll give you a really good example. So the sport of rugby union here in New Zealand, All Blacks, there are about 36 to 40 fully contracted players at any given time. To get a local contract, you must play rugby locally here, and you have to be part of one of 5 Super Rugby teams. Now, below that, you have the provincial level, and below the provincial level, you have the provincial club competition. So it's a very clearly defined pyramid system. So if you're out of favor, and if you have a contract, and if you don't get picked, you then have to go one tier below, play yourself back into form, and meet the selection criteria. It's very simple. It's really simple, and it works. So based on what you're saying, Chari, and based on what some of the readers are saying, if there are good players who are in the tier 2 system, there needs to be some form of high performance alignment where you can pull them in. Maybe it's a draft system into the Super 8s or whatever it is, so that they can be fast tracked and made use of. If we don't do that, all we will be doing is we'll be having the same conversation 5 years from now. Players who've had 500-600 runs in 3-4 innings, and why are they not making it to the top side? So changes have to happen, but the changes have to make sense. For that, you need to have people who understand and have the right skills to re-engineer this process. With all due respect, I don't think there are people in that setup who understand what the hell high performance is. High performance is not about wearing a cool shirt and turning up on time and talking a whole bunch of BS. That is not high performance. You need to actually understand what sort of data is involved. You need to understand the psychology. And frankly, I mean, Avi, I love the way your coaching style. It's very black and white. There's no time to babysit people or hold hands or give them hand cream so that they feel loved or hugged, or, you got to have these hard conversations, and the problem is, my gut feeling is that within that setup, the moment you try to have a hard conversation, everyone gangs up against that person who has the hard conversation. And we've got one guy on the screen, our host, who was given the Spanish archer or the cold elbow. But this is what it is, guys. High performance is not fun. Let me be the first to tell you guys that, especially everyone who's listening. It's a very difficult, mentally challenging environment. And that's why it's called high performance. It's not for everybody. Yeah. And if you can't cut the mustard, and if you can't handle that mental pressure, then you need to do something else. It's that simple.
To get to that,
Go on, Geshan.
To get to that point, there are good players who are playing in tier B, but we also have to see why they are playing in the tier B. The first reason is, yes, it has the first class status, and you don't have to be on the bench fighting with another player without guarantee. You can easily go play your matches there, and you can score some runs. Yes, quality, just like Avishka said, I think 2 days ago also, like, the quantity is there, quality is not there. So it's very easy to perform for them also. So rather than taking the hard path, I mean, the hard way, they will take the easy way. That's what everyone would do, because it's the same thing. You get the first class status, it goes to your stats, and you can easily get an overseas contract with your stats. So I think my belief is, okay, if you are reducing club teams, let's say for 10, take 20 players to a team and treat all 20 players and give them a guarantee. If you work hard, even if you don't play matches, if you work hard for to get to that level, but we will take care of you. I think I highly doubt it. The pay of club level also. I mean, not about I'm not talking about the contracted players from the board, but the players who are in the club level. Also, they don't have that assurance. So I think if you are making it 10 teams, I don't think it will happen any soon unless someone takes a proper, very hard decision on it. So, and also with the current structure of the cricket board. So
I understand. What you're basically saying is, if you're reducing the number of teams, right, and if your squad is 20, probably increase the squad to 25 and give everybody a contract and make sure that the boys will be looked after. I think it's happening. I don't know. Club that I'm coaching.
If it does happen, if that miracle does happen, reducing 10 to 10 teams, it will automatically happen, and the squad will be bigger. And to play first-class cricket, to get into a first-class team, you will have to go to one of those 10 teams and fight for your place. It will automatically happen, and then the clubs will obviously contract more players than others.
Yeah, it's simple scenario. Because, sorry, Boa, what happens is, Geshan, at the moment, because having so many number of clubs, at Division 1, everybody is given a proportion, whatever the fees that is coming out of SLC. And if you restrict to a lesser number of teams, so obviously SLC can pay more for that club. So, they can pay more for the contracted players and have a bigger squad. And when I took over BRC, that half the squad, the players did not have contracts. Just to tell you, Geshan, you came for training, and then I advised you to go because it was tight, and I asked you to go play for Kalutara, and that which we did. We had a very good season last season. But this year I made sure everyone, the 20 in the squad, that got even a small contract. So the boys are looked after. So it's happening at SSC. I'm sure it's happening at other clubs also, that the players are in those top clubs are looked after. But what I see is, if you restrict it, the clubs can pay more and increase the level of competition. That's all we are saying. I mean, I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. And then on the same subject, and the point number 4, players' contracts will be based on performance. Avi, your thoughts on that? I think you spoke about, and Boa, you were very vocal about that have a incentive scheme that based on performance, and how is that going to work out, gentlemen?
I started this when I was coaching SSC from the club level itself, right? The whole team will get a winning bonus for every game, and then it keeps increasing as you go on for the second round, the semi-finals, and so on. So I started that at SSC in 2006. Somewhere around 2005, 2006.
Yeah, I think, look, guys, with the current representative or national setup, we have to make some radical, and I mean some ruthless changes. If I was the director of coaching, which I am not, by the way, I would sharpen my knife and I would scrap all the contracts. It's pretty simple. Next 12 weeks, you get paid by the run, by how many catches you take, how many maidens you bowl, how many wickets you take. And you have to meet minimum fitness criteria. And we're going to test and retest you within the next 12 weeks, once a fortnight. If you don't make the cut, you're gone. You're gone. It's that simple. Start with getting players who are physically fit. Now, it doesn't happen to work. It doesn't need to be in cricket. This is universal for any sport, be it team or individual. Okay, and I think we need to start getting rid of these, these doling out money. And I don't see the need to have contracted players if they're not performing. It's that simple. So pay by the run, pay by the wicket. Make it really ruthless, because over the next 12 weeks, then we'll find out who really wants to be part of this. And once you find those people, Then CS, like what you said, make sure, put these guys on minimum wage. If they have to go and dig a hole, so be it, to make a living. Because they have to actually understand that they're in a privileged position. Because this is something, I have a lot of experience with, especially with individual, managing individual professional athletes. We need to remove this sense of entitlement, and we need to make these guys understand that they have to work hard. Now, soon as they understand that if I work hard, I get paid more, and they see that it works for them, boy, watch how this world changes. It's that simple.
Avi, this is a big statement. Yes, all said and done. He said that can you scrap their contracts? It's a contract. Like middle of it. Can you take it out? There'll be legal issues.
Yeah, I guess I'm not talking about the contracts here. I think it's about the match fees and winning bonuses and all that we need to encourage them. And then again, I mean, we are talking about the players, and we are trying to punish players here, where we actually need to focus on the system. Even if, no matter how good the player is, when he comes into a bad system, I don't think he can improve. I mean, even an average player, if he comes into a better system, then there is room for improvement.
I understand what you're saying, but that yearly their contracts are based, after discussion with the team seniors, and there's back and forth. You know how hard it is, as a manager's job to get the players to sign these contracts. So once you sign a contract, it's a contract. It's a legal.
Like I always say, if even the quality of the contracts have lost by giving 100 contracts, there is no value for a contract. When you give 100 contracts, I mean, why don't you cut it down to 30 and make the players earn the contract and give them a good 30 good contracts, and they know, okay, I need to perform, I need to get my fitness up, I need to really focus, I need to earn this contract. And if you do earn that contract, it has to be a pretty decent contract.
Yeah, we all agree.
I'm just throwing out a number, right?
I know what you're saying.
Contract for a year, that's what, now the way dollar is going, it probably must be 10 to 11 million bucks a year, right? And it's worth trying to get into that contract, isn't it? Worth working hard, worth performing, worth trying to get into that 30. Now here, you're just seated and you're just, you go, like Geshan said, get couple of hundreds, get like a weaker side and score couple of hundreds, and you score that 400 to 500 runs where you get eligible for the contract, and you're sitting home with a decent contract.
And guys, what I'm trying to say is, I think.
Just a minute. What I'm saying is, yes, in principle, we all agree that that's the way forward. In future, earn your contract, and it has to be performance based. That's what we all agree that, that's the way. I don't know whether Geshan will agree on that. But what I'm trying to say is, for the players who are coming into the new players coming into the system, yes, we can draw new contracts. But what the decision was taken last night, I don't think that can be implemented, because there is a contract already in place. Those are yearly contracts. It cannot be changed overnight. So these are all rubbish. What they are saying. That is because for an example, I don't think the contracts can be changed for the players who are going to West Indies. Can that be done, Avi? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. It's an annual contract, but then annual contracts must be coming up in March. Generally, they get renewed in March.
Yeah. So the next renewal, yes, you can consider.
I don't know how it works now. Generally, it's renewed in March. So,
and also,
yeah, Geshan.
To add to that, cricket has been evolved throughout these years. So if you take the cricket that the greats like Arjun Ranatunga, the era down the line played, has been evolved. So it is more professional. It's more based on your pay, and also the world has evolved. So, but I highly doubt whether Sri Lanka cricket has evolved. I mean, this issue is not for the past 5-6 years. I think it was there from 2000, even before 2010, or even before that. But luckily, we were lucky to produce magical players, magicians who could, that's why we sustained even back then in international cricket. but not that our system was really good. It was there from, I think, I don't know whether Avishka agrees, from 2005 onwards, we could have done much better. But
Geshan,
you know, 2005, 2004, 5, 6, 7, that was my last 3 years at SSC. 2005, 6, the local premier tournament was 4 days.
yeah,
It was a 4-day tournament was played.
sure.
That was in 2005. Right. So again, coming back to contracts, I'll just throw these out. Right. Say they decide to reduce the contract. Say someone who's on a 80,000 contract, they reduce it to 30,000. Right. I'll just throw out a name. I'm just say Kusal Jani. Right. Say he's on a 80,000 contract, and they bring it down to half, 40,000. Right. I'm sure he can find a place in an IPL team. I'm sure he can find a place in a BPL team. I'm sure he can find a place in a CPL team. Right? What if he says, no, I don't want to sign the contract. I'll play when I'm available if I get picked. He goes and plays these 3 franchise tournaments. He'll earn more than what he's getting as a contract. And when we need him, we'll even pick him.
That can happen. That can happen.
I was just thinking about it when we were talking about this.
I mean, you know, and this is my bugbear. Look, in the short term, until this problem gets sorted out, until SL cricket figure out who really wants to be part of this, we're going to have to scrap this whole. The current crop of players, they don't have the skills, the mental skills to behave and cope with the modern version of professionalism. I think that needs to be scrapped for at least a very short time. Go back to what it was until we figure out who's prepared to be part of this.
What I still think is, sorry to interrupt, what I still think is, I mean, we are the whole thing out of the players, right? Trying to cut their contracts. I'm talking about their fitness levels and all that. But then we chase these players out. We bring a new set of players in for the same system that we have had, which has been deteriorating for the last so many years. And you bring a new set of players in, put them in the shitty system, what will happen to them?
Of course. And you're absolutely right. This is only one part of the whole process. But this has to be the same right throughout the framework. I mean, if you look at administrators and managers or selectors, we don't have people mostly who can cope with this ideology and the modern day professionalism. So we need to go back to what it was and how we did it best, figure out who wants to be part of it. And sure, there'll be people who will say, look, I don't want this. And that's fine too. You play with who you have. But if you re-engineer your systems and processes, you will start seeing different results. And the reality is you will get better results with cheaper contracts. I have seen this happen a number of times in my personal experience. And I can say it really comes down to how you re-engineer your thought process right across the organization.
Point taken. That's very interesting what Geshan said. I heard that, during the show, Mr. Warnapura, our first test captain, saying, way back 40 years ago, we lost to England in 4 days. And that was in Colombo. I think, those guys put up a better performance, without any of these facilities. 40 years down the line, same thing happens. So, Geshan, to ask you, we have not evolved. We have literally 40 years, we have, done the same thing over and over. Why guys are playing devil's advocate here? What I'm trying to point out is, all the decisions taken last night, as Avi rightly said, this is a hogwash. This is no point going after players or, just, trying to do all these things. This is again, they are putting Band-Aid to a, bigger wound. This is not where the problem is.
And I think guys, one of the decisions are giving importance to fitness and discipline. That's only now they are going to give.
Exactly. The point is, everybody knows the system is corrupt. We at the beginning of this conversation, we started saying when we went to South Africa, our focus was on LPL. That was the bigger achievement. They're not Test cricket. Right now, we have lost 4 games in a row. and these come up with these crazy ideas of revamping. Is what is required? Get the that you go. I think you said it. That's it's like treating a cancer. You being a cancer survivor. That you got to go to the root cause where it all started. So this is not where the problem is. The cancer still exists, and they are trying to try to treat the cancer on surface, and it's never going to work. We all know where the problem is. Get the do the right thing. Change the constitution. Do whatever it otherwise. I think we probably will end up like Zimbabwe or perhaps like Kenya, and that's what will happen in the next few years.
No, and gentlemen, the reality is, if we continue with the same bunch of guys in the same system, the reality is we will get hiding after hiding. So if you're going to get a hiding anyway with this current system, then do something different. Try some younger players, because at least then there'll be a legitimate excuse saying we had zero experience and we were trying something new. Yeah, look, we'll get a hiding, but we're trying something different, and there might be a few people who might turn up and who look like they want to be there. So this is systematic.
What probably might happen is we might go to West Indies, probably end up winning a couple of test matches, and the manager
everything is forgotten. Yeah,
manager changed, selection committee changed. We win 2 test matches. Okay, right, everything's back to normal.
Exactly, that's what will happen. And this Riza is questioning about Dewindu Tilakarat, the highest wicket taker and run scorer in the domestic cricket, not being selected to South Africa and England series. I think we discussed about it. The selectors have no faith in the guys who perform at domestic level, and they are deprived. Geshan, what do you think as a domestic player?
Yes, Dewindu Tilakarat. Yes, I taken the most wickets last year, but that is what we see, like the trust in domestic level performance is not there when it comes to the national level. So if it's not there, so what is the point of playing and what is the base that you are picking the players? There has to be a policy. There has to be a proper policy. I think not just Dewindu, and also Lahiru, who scored the most runs last year. So there should be one policy. I mean, if he's not good enough, just picking one maximum wickets in the 1 year. Okay, you have to say why we are not picking you up. What is the reason behind that? So you have to be clear cut regarding that.
So many selection committee meetings, right? I have heard selectors saying, "Ayo, a karakana wicket gatara, not Dewindu." I'm just saying certain things, certain comments that I have heard. Ayo, a karakana wicket gatara, hono wicket ganna ba. This is what I've heard some of the selectors saying. Those days when we went for a selection committee meeting. I just,
So then perhaps the selectors need to tell the curators to make better wickets.
Exactly, because in our domestic level, the wickets. I don't think you get the same wickets when you go to international level. That is what has happened to batsmen also. If you just if you survive, if you play here, let's say a reverse sweep, or you just step out and get some runs, 20, 30, or maybe 80. 100 runs in domestic, and then you get 1,000 runs or 800 runs. I don't think that is what you get in international cricket. International cricket is grinding out there and playing solid innings. But in Sri Lankan domestic, I don't think you get the proper pitches which matches international level.
True, and I think we all saw that the opening batsman, I think Selby, or how he got his failed in 3 innings. And how much he absorbed pressure, and he was struggling for that 50, and he made sure England won. And none of our players had that application. Where is the mental toughness? He was not a great player, and he just had very basic skills, but he applied himself, and he made sure that the game was won. None of our players had that the mental toughness. Not that Avi, you're the coach. I don't think that we don't have proper skills to survive out there. Come on, we grew up playing on wickets like that.
That's what happens when you don't trust your defense, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you don't trust your defense, that's what happened.
So what happened? How did we get there?
There are three men around the bat.
Yeah.
You are too scared to play a defense because you don't trust your defense, and then you try to get away by hitting some sort of a shot.
Yep, and I understand, and that's basically I'm saying that if like you can't build a skyscraper if you don't lay a proper foundation. The fact is that we got all these sophisticated batting coaches, this coaching staff. You mean to say, Avi, that the guys who are playing at national level, their basics are not right. There's something wrong somewhere, mate. That's you got to have they grew up playing cricket on these tracks. So suddenly that they don't trust their defense. That's a huge issue here.
Again, isn't it the preparation? I mean, again, we went into 4 test matches after playing 25 days of T20 cricket. Did they play a single defense in those 25 days?
There you go. That's where the problem is. Yeah.
So guys, I have to say for England, this is the perfect preparation. Like from a coaching point of view, whatever the sport, you want to go into difficult conditions where you're trying to replicate against a better opposition, and you really want to be playing bunnies. Unfortunately, we were the bunny, and it was 2 hidings back to back in at a venue where the statistics clearly show that the home team had far greater superiority. So it's a very difficult pill to swallow, I guess. But as both Geshan and Avi was talking, unless the systems and the framework right across the board, quite ironic, isn't it? Right across the board is addressed, nothing is going to change. The fans are going to get more frustrated. And at some point, the sponsors need to come out and ask the question. Now, I've worked in sports here where, we've had to do dramatic, quite drastic interventions because sponsors came in and asked, guys, what's up? What's happening? Yep. We're paying you guys good coin, and we feel we're not getting the value we deserve. So I guess at some point the sponsors will have to, because you can't just dole out money and sponsor bunnies. And I have to say that, guys, because these are the sort of conversations we need to have. We can't sugarcoat this. The more we sugarcoat this, the bigger the hole is going to become. So,
I agree with you. At the moment, one of the leading brand names in this country, SLC Cricket, we could have had all the top, we could have demanded very high prices, anything for branding, which we have, I think, lost over the years, and we have lost our credibility. And there is no brand name as such anymore. We have nothing to market anymore, and we are scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's a very, very sad scenario. And just what Suvanji is asking, Avi, do you understand? Chaitanya, what about we can fix 30-men separate squads for all 3, probably what he's saying is formats, all 3 separate coaches. Then you can concentrate for only one format. Avi? I think what he says is have 3 different squads for 3 different formats and have 3 different coaches, whether it will have an impact.
It's I don't know. I don't agree or I don't disagree. If you brand someone as a white ball cricketer or a red ball cricketer, I mean, I don't think it's fair to do that. I mean, we saw Dimuth was sidelined or branded as a red ball cricketer, end up captaining a World Cup.
True. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not sure how we can do it, but there are specialists, white ball cricketers. When you identify them, yes, you get them to concentrate on the white ball only.
Yeah.
Question, guys: do we have the depth and talent pool to be doing that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, those are the aspects that that was going through my mind before I answered that question.
Yeah, and Sanjay, good to have Sanjay Silva. Professional cricketers should perform in the middle. Admin is someone else's job unless they don't get required facilities. Yeah, this is the problem, Sanjay. The professional cricketers are not doing a professional job. That's what we are trying to figure out. Where it's going wrong. That's there's something wrong somewhere. So probably what I see is, Avi, it's a very very bold statement. Let's face it, guys. What is the state of affairs in our country? What is happening at the highest level is simply filtering down to all other aspects in life. We can talk till the cows come home, if the administrators are not going to get, their priorities right, I think, this is going to be the end result. Regardless, cricket, rugby, or anything else, the private sector, the travel, tourism, health sector, everything is in shambles. That's what is happening. Then you come up with a meeting like what they had last night, come with some bullshit, proposals, thinking that will sort out the future cricket, which is not going to happen. So this is the bottom line. The people who really needs to be there are not there. They will never give an opportunity. So they will continue to run the place the way they want. And now they are thinking of appointing a mentor for cricket. The last point, I think, that I shouldn't be talking about it because, I was the former manager of the team. To me, I think, appointing Jerome Jaratna, going back, what we spoke about. First thing they said, no communication between high performance and the team management. Now they have appointed Jerome Jaratna. Okay, you communicate with the team. Is that the way to go, Avi? He's the high performance director. Now, a former national coach, team manager. So why are we having sophisticated coaches and all that, and then you go and put your high performance director as the team manager? What?
Yeah, look, the point I want to try and make is process re-engineering is not for everyone. It's a specialist job. You need experts, especially to do in professional sport. So to do that, you need a certain set of skills and certain experience, and you have to take the emotion out of it. So there will be some decisions where, people will get upset. People will go home and cry and ask the question, why me? Why this? But, professional sport is run on, by and large, numbers and performance. So if you don't meet those numbers and performance benchmarks, you have to go and do something else. Or you have to go back at a lower level, upskill yourself, and qualify or requalify yourself eligible to play professional sport. Now, that's a very difficult process, and that's why high performance isn't for everybody. So it's going to be a big challenge because with all these hangers on, this gravy train, this payday setup, and of course, young personalities these days are a little bit sensitive, Now, I'm actually glad Avishka isn't directly overseeing most of these guys because I don't think they can handle the broomstick. It's that simple. But that is what high performance is about. You have to have honest, professional, robust conversations. And sometimes you will go home in tears. But next day you come back and you get back on the horse.
Yep. Okay, guys, before we wind up, we have been talking for a while. There are questions keep coming in. If we're going to answer everything, Avi, quickly, if you can say difference between Pujara taking body blows, prepared to taking in, and our guys are not. And then Mohammed Riza saying this question is to Boa. So Graham Henry rejected Scott Robertson, who won 4 Super Rugby titles in 4 years, and picked Ian Foster as head coach of the All Blacks and trail coach of Chiefs for 8 years without a title. Now All Blacks is the best sporting team with 85% to 90% success rate. My question is the head coach and selectors being appointed without merit. Isn't it the same story in SL with the same coaches and selectors are appointed repeatedly despite failing? Don't you think the administrator should respect the vision, playing, preparation, hard work, smart and ruthless selection, or a very good coach, and reject coaches? Oh God, coaches who are not making any progress, who believes in having the same breakfast every morning. Quickly, guys, Pujara, what do you say? Graham Henry's policy, all that?
Well, that's a very long-winded question. Look,
Yeah.
I'll keep it really short. I don't think the two situations are comparable because with the whole All Blacks thing, there were other issues because, Foster was the incumbent coach. And, of course, that really came down to the coach selection panel and what their policies were. And they went with what they felt was safe. So, yes, there is a point. They've gone with a tried and tested as opposed to the new age adventure. So that's probably why they gave Foster only 2 years. That's halfway mark to the World Cup. So if he doesn't deliver the goods, he'll be gone and they'll appoint someone else. So it's pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah. Are we Pujara taking body blows? Our guys are not prepared to take body blows. What do you say?
If Pujara doesn't take body blows and score runs in, if he fails in 4-5 innings, there are plenty of people in the bench to take his place. Simple as that. That's all I can say.
No option but to take the blows. Yeah, that he did it his way, and not our way. That's and Srimal was the formula of the selection committee. We spoke about it. I think the problem is that there are systems in place, and Boa raised that question. The problem is that they are not executing the systems that are already in place. That's where the problem is. Richie, good to have you, Rich. Yes, Geshan, the young man, has a point. We are in a professional era. This is the operating environment. What is the entry criteria to obtain a central contract? The players have a choice today, play other franchise cricket. How do we retain them and reward and incentivize the system? It goes on and on. It's a long, Murali Sanath era. Avi, I think we spoke about this as well. That what is the entry criteria to obtain a central contract? Avi, if you can just quickly say what's the criteria, because you're in charge of contracts at SLC.
Yeah, they put a criteria of 500 runs or 600 runs for a batsman, X number of wickets for a spinner. If you're an all-rounder, so much of runs and so much of wickets. They put a criteria. So, and most of the, when you give 100 contracts, some didn't fit into that criteria either, but they still got contracts.
Yeah, true. So that's how it is. That's how it is. There's one more point.
Is there, but
it doesn't happen. Yeah, and I want to ask you, Avi, what you said, that giving players contracts, that the players have the option. I know certain players did that, so they can weight neutral. You don't sign a contract with SLC cricket and go on playing franchise cricket, whatever. But don't you think that now that's a good example is I know it's what's happening to my player Banko Rajapaksa, just to mention his name, because the poor guy, he got so many contracts around the world to go and play in franchise cricket, but the poor guy cannot go because he's contracted to Sri Lanka cricket, and he's not getting a chance to play for Sri Lanka. He's not been recognized to play national cricket either. So the guy is losing out big time. I think from the player's point of view, will he get the same kind of offers if he's not in the national system? What do you think?
Yeah, and you can't play cricket every day. If your profession is cricket, when you can play cricket, you have to play cricket and earn money.
Exactly. Right? The point is,
if you're a professional sportsman, you can't do sports like cricket, rugby, or soccer, or whatever for a very long time. When you can, you have to play and earn money.
Yeah. So basically, we all agree that that during this short period, when that's the what do you call the time that the players can make money. All sportsmen should, because you can't play sports until you die, and some players try to prolong their careers and eventually you pay the price. So they got to make the most. So so basically, Avi, I believe that you guys have no objection players making money as much as they can, but criteria should be that should be performance based. And it should justify, because the entire country, I can see the number of comments that some of the comments that I did not respond to. Everybody's disheartened, everyone's disgusted, everyone's heartbroken. And before we wind up, I think all I have to say is, for God's sake, do the right thing. Doing this, this fancy things and trying to deceive the public, it's not going to work. Probably, as Avi said, going to the West Indies and winning one game, people will forget everything is tickety-boo. It's not going to happen. The moment you take on a better team, we are back to square one. So the chances,
yeah. And again, we got back-to-back tours coming up. We go to West Indies in a couple of weeks, and then I think Bangladesh is coming back. So we got back-to-back tours. And the other question, something that I was discussing yesterday also. Someone like Kusal Menda, we all know that he is talented. Now he has had a bad run. Where is he going to go and get his form back?
Nowhere.
At home, apparently. Backyard cricket. So, guys, look, one parting shot. So, the example you gave about Banko Rajapaksa, this is what I mean about the current setup being ill-prepared to cope with the modern version of professional sport. You need to have the right skills and the people who understand the modern version of professional sport so that they can work through these contractual situations where if a player has to go and play themselves back into form, like what Avishka said, you have a clause and you have some maneuvering space within that contract so that that player can go off to a suitable situation to play themselves back into form. But under the current professional contract, it's not going to happen. So this is why you need experts and people who know what the hell they're talking about to sort this out. So that's why I said, if you want help, call me, but I'm not cheap. That much I will say.
Yep, you know whom to call, the Ghostbusters, right? Geshan, your final words, mate, before I say bye to you.
Yeah, so this is not in line with cricket and talent again. Back to my first point, and on behalf of the spectators, all the viewers in a country who loves cricket, yes, we call all of these guys are professional cricketers. So they when at a time that we are not doing really well, they should also be very mindful when you present themselves into media or giving an interview. They should be very mindful about the damage control. So can see social media is not something to consider, but you get all the memes and everything because the way you respond to it. If you are skillful enough to respond it properly, that will be much damage control and everyone would be happy. So you don't have to go much far. If you go to India, you see the professionalism in Pujara, the players like Rahane, players like Kohli, Ashwin, how professional they handle themselves. I think that is a bigger country, that they have bigger problems. Even how much they perform, even a small failure would get them get them blamed. But they manage themselves properly. So this is a part that I think cricket board should consider and develop in players in future for our own good and for our Sri Lankan cricket good and on behalf of the spectators as well. Because it's fair for them to get angry because sometimes there are people who daily, working hard in the office, but they can't concentrate anything when there is a match going on. It happens to everyone because we are a cricket-loving country. So it's very easy for them to get offended when a player they love comes and handles the media not in a proper way.
Good
so
point.
That is my take on it. Yes.
Very good point. How players handle themselves on social media is very, very important. And the fact is that just like the spectators, the players are also human at the end of the day. Yeah. But you got to be, I think you have to raise the players have to raise their standards. When you are in public scrutiny and you are answerable. The people make statements like, Avi, said the cricket belongs to the public. I don't know. I think it does because there is no sport without spectators. So spectators have every right to criticize players, and if they can't handle pressure, simple. Joe Root himself, he said, these boys cannot handle pressure. The moment you apply pressure, they crumble. And we spoke about the mental toughness. That's what happened. And if you can't handle pressure on social media or any other media, and if you give in and that you react to it, I think you'll be the ultimate loser. And the players should not. And they should know how to. That's where the managers come in. That's their manager's role, and probably the SLC media. And it's clearly mentioned in their contracts, how they conduct themselves in public. And Avi, you know it. And they are being clearly told not to react to social media comments, stuff like that. And if possible, to try and stay away from it, because you can get distracted with certain comments that is made on Facebook. People who comment can have different agendas. So you have to be mindful of all that. So it's not happening, as you rightly said. That's the difference between players coming from other nations and our guys, which they need to step up and address. Good point, Geshan. Bo, anything to say on that?
Again, transferable skills, and these things have to be taught to these young kids. And as Avishka rightly pointed out, unless we change the systems and processes, it's only going to be haphazard. It's only going to be a band-aid sort of thing. I just feel that, at least for a short while, we need to go back to semi-professionalism or amateurism, sort this mess out as far as, people not putting enough effort. And this goes right across the board, players, coaches, administrators, and figure out who actually wants to be part of this and then move this forward. I think it's this sort of thing has happened in other sports, in other places in the world, and it has worked. There's no reason why it shouldn't work in the island nation.
Yep, got it. Suresh Murugesh, I think, Suresh is, like always say that the number of teams should be reduced to 8 or 10. We spoke about it, Suresh, earlier, and there are pros and cons why it's not going to happen. I would say, put it, you and I all can talk that that's the way it should be. We agree. But then again, that if you cut it down to 8 or 10, and we spoke about having a larger pool and getting everyone, giving everyone contracts, so on and so forth. And people like Geshan probably will not get a chance to play Division 1 cricket. And I don't know, coaches like we and all should think about it, that whether that's the way to go. Because the moment you drop down to 8 or 10 first-class teams, there will be number of players who will lose their bread and butter. Geshan, that the boys who are playing overseas and they all lose, and there has to be a system how we are going to look after those players. Avi, I'm sure you will agree with all that. That's the other side of the coin.
Well, look, I mean, what I see is we have to focus on Sri Lanka cricket. If someone wants to play 5 first-class games and pack his bags and go play in England or Australia, then let them go. But we need to focus on Sri Lanka cricket.
Right.
I mean, if you
have to see whether it's
if the excuse is to have 24 or 25 teams playing first-class cricket, is to just to about 100 players to play first-class cricket and to go to England just because, I mean, they got a contract. I mean, if that's not going to help Sri Lanka cricket,
because in future, if these things go like this, even five first-class matches from Sri Lankan players will not take into considerations. The quality drops.
Yeah, I mean,
quality drops. So you have to. Sri Lanka cricket has to be in top level.
I'll just sum it up. I mean, CS, you had a couple of overseas and playing for you, right?
Yep.
And they never played first-class cricket for their country.
Well, one guy has played, yeah. I mean, yeah, they played a couple of games, yes.
2 games. I think I remember one guy coming and getting a couple of hundreds who has never played first-class cricket for their country.
The guy who played for Ragama, yes. Even the guy who played for me, he played Ranji Trophy a couple of years ago, but he just, in the 6 innings he batted, I think he got a couple of 50s, 60s every time he went to bat. Yeah, which is just, yeah, you're right.
He hasn't played first-class cricket in 2 years, and he comes and just keeps getting runs in our first-class cricket. So that shows the quality of cricket we play.
Yeah,
I think he got a century in his first-class debut in Sri Lanka and also in his list debut.
Yeah, I can remember that.
That shows the quality of that player.
And got 100.
That's the boy who played for Ragama. He hasn't even played. I think he was playing Division 3 cricket in India. He probably played some university level cricket and he got runs.
Analyze this anymore.
Yeah, it's rather shocking. Yeah, that's true.
You guys, what you guys? I'm just going to quickly summarize this real quickly. What all 4 you said, and based on CS how you run the ship and your method of coaching, and Geshan what you've been talking about, what's lacking. We need a little bit of sandpaper, guys. There's just too much silk in this setup. It's too soft. We need to make people feel at ground level. You got to cut everything down, and this goes right across players, coaches, the entire system. And that's why I keep saying, we need to deprofessionalize and delayer this at least for a short while until we figure out who actually wants to be part of this and who's actually worthy of it. And then
I'll tell you, a lot of good guys wants to be a part of it, but they don't want to come into the system. Until they change the system, they don't want to get involved. Because you get involved in the system, you're also going to get branded.
You're going to get against. Yeah, you don't want to be a part of it. So better off.
I mean, CS, you would have spoken to a few other ex-cricketers who shares the same thing, that they don't want to get involved because they don't want to get involved in the system.
That's the true state of affairs in this country. The people who can make a difference don't want to get involved. And that's somebody, if somebody wants to get to the root cause, that's where the problem is. The people who really matter don't want to get involved. Geshan, anything else, son, before we go off that you want to say?
Yes. So I just want to thank you, Charit sir, and also it's a privilege for me to being part of this. And I hope if something good will happen, because we all want Sri Lanka cricket to improve in future and be at the level it was before. So thank you very much
Thanks.
for
It's a
inviting
pleasure.
me to the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's a
Yes,
pleasure having
thank
you on the show. You contributed. You got very good points, and because you are a current player. And I wish the more players like you come into these forums and contribute, and their grievances, what they want to bring up, so we also understand. Although we are hands-on, we know what's happening at grassroots level. It's good to have that communication. The feedback coming from you boys. Really appreciate it. Goa, thanks a lot, mate. Really appreciate you coming on the show all the way from New Zealand. Avi, thanks a million, mate. I know that you had a very busy schedule and much spoken about man in Sri Lanka cricket at the moment. Unfortunately, that we all know that that you are sidelined, and we hope and pray that that you will be back in the system sooner than later, because the country needs you and the game needs you, and we wish you. We wish you nothing but the very best, and big thank you to all those people for being with us. Supporting us and being a part of the show, for all the encouragement. Suresh, thanks a lot, mate. Let's face it, unhappy cricket is more than enough to choose from. Yep, more than enough. Yeah, we spoke about it. The second division players must be encouraged to play overseas and get more. But the problem is second division players don't get a chance because it's not considered Division 1. But yeah, these are so we got to find ways and means how we look after them. That's what it is. Sanjeeva Mahadevage. What is born again? Born again. That's yeah. Well, yeah, that's finally that has come up. What is born again? Born again means you die and you are born again, you become a new person. To me, that's what it is. You literally you die, and then the resurface. The born again. That's what it means. So
Sanjeeva, look, you only live once. Live it well, live it hard. Don't worry about getting born again. Okay?
Born again, yeah. So what matters after you die, it really doesn't matter. You are dead. If you are born again, it's that's good enough. It'll be all well and good. Iva, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Okay, guys, my head is hurting, and I don't know. I think we spoke about a lot of things.
Yeah, I need a drink.
Yeah, I'm sure Avi wants. Geshan won't. He's a good boy. He might probably want to go babysit. That's on a poet day. That's thanks a lot, people. Once again, it was great having you. Good chat. You. And I hope we spoke, something sensible. So the parting words: horses for courses. Yes. Just no point. Just what you call in rugby terms. No point passing the ball to the next one. Take the bull by the horns. Do the right thing if the Sri Lanka cricket want to survive. Otherwise, all of us, we are connected to this game, and most of us we make a living out of it. If you don't do the right thing, we will all lose it. There won't be any game. That's simple as that. So that's where we wind up. Thanks again, and people in Sri Lanka, have a good, restful 4-year day. Take care of yourself. Stay safe, and everybody out there. Lorraine, good to have you all the way from USA. The only girl who was watching, and in fact, that she was to come on my show. She's a top instructor, perhaps only female cricket coach based in Canada. She's saying, what about it's all a men's show. There are no ladies. Ladies are watching, Dashi. Don't worry, they will all watch. They will not comment. So if a lady comes, I'm sure that the ladies would participate. And unfortunately, in cricket, that is another thing that happened. It's at the moment taboo of ladies a little. Having a lady in the setup is a bit taboo to talk about. So which we discuss it on another day. And which is then, by the way, go quickly. It's very unfortunate what happened. The bigger picture is, Avi, we perhaps with all those the rumors that are going around and whatever happened, we may not have a lady professional trainer, physio, whatever in the spot for a very long time. Which is very sad. And
CS, this is what I've been going on about. Clearly, the current setup is not ready to be part of this professional 2021. The way the world has changed. So this is where the problem is. As Avi said, you got to go back and look at the system. And it's rotting. The fish starts rotting from the head. So you got to
That is,
change all that.
that is again the immaturity and not being skillful enough to handle the professionalism that requires to this standards of being international cricketer and not valuing.
Also not being socially exposed, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
guys who are socially exposed from the time they were young, they will know how to handle all this, and their social skills will be much better. And if there is a problem, they would know how to get out of that also.
And Naveed, perhaps that needs to then be taught.
Yes,
I know
not-
this sounds really strange, but in professional sporting setups, especially rugby league over here, we actually have professional liaisons and chaperones.
That's why
This is
I
all
was
about
talking
not
about
see-
leaders. That's why I was talking about leaders. I mean, we always go. We when we were young, we walk into a team with 2 or 3 good leaders who will tell us what to do, who will, mentor us, and show us the path.
How to
And
handle yourself.
even to have a drink, right? They will tell us how to, do that, when to do that.
I remember when I played rugby, I had a lot of mentors who taught me how to have a drink. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
It's all part of the team culture, that the leadership groups and the senior players, how they guide them, the manager's job to look after them. Things can happen inside the team. That's good. Finally, that it's good that we brought up. Avi, that apart from Geshan, you also know. Few weeks back, that again through social media, one former player now and one senior player got into a mudslinging scenario on Facebook. Eventually, when I was asked, I advised both players, let bygones be bygones. Don't wash your dirty in public. It's going to be, there'll be repercussions, consequences, going to reflect bad on the sport. And even if things happen, because at the end of the day, we are all human and we are bound to make mistakes. And if you don't know how to control it, and without damaging the reputation of the institution or the sport, the damage is already done. And we do not have to discuss these things, in public. And we could have, I believe, handled better. And it's no point, if you are going through a bad patch and trying to take your focus away by making people scapegoats or asking, head selector to step down or make some changes, putting a mentor there. These are all. It's not going to work. Now, we discussed about it with the people who are listening out there. Do the right thing. Otherwise, we are all doomed. That's all I have to say. Guys, once again, thank you very much. We can talk till the cows come home and wish Sri Lanka cricket nothing but the very best and Sri Lanka team. And we are all out of it. Geshan, good luck to you, son.
Thank you.
Hopefully the domestic...
All the best, Geshan.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and hope you all have a great 2021.
You too, and hopefully the
domestic catch up soon again.
Thank you very much. Hopefully the domestic season will start and you will get to play cricket. I know that all you guys are pretty bored, staying at home, being quarantined and all sorts of things. And hopefully things will get better, that we all can go out and live our lives. That's the way it should be. Thank you very much, people. Once again, for being a part of the show, and like the show, share it, do whatever you have to do. And hopefully I will post it on YouTube, sometime later for everyone's convenience. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks, Geshan. Catch you later. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.